There was a time when games seemed to evolve with every new release, bringing innovations that marked generations and redefined what was possible within the world of gaming. It was a true golden era, where memorable titles emerged with impressive frequency, delivering impactful narratives, ambitious open worlds, and gameplay that still influences the industry today. Among the many gems of this era, some games stood out as true masterpieces, blending creativity, technology, and unforgettable stories. These are the titles that continue to be remembered years later, not just for the impact they had at the time of release, but for the legacy they left for the future of gaming. Let's take a look back at 20 of these unforgettable classics that marked the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 generation. Games that deserve to be celebrated not only for what they were, but for what they represent even today. I'm Jax, and if you're new here, welcome to the Play Hunters channel, where I bring daily content so you won't miss a single detail of the gaming universe. And if you could subscribe to help me grow, I'd be thrilled. From one gamer to another. Opening the list, we have one of the most iconic games of the time, BioShock, which starts unexpectedly and quickly turns into a nightmare. A plane crashes in the middle of the ocean, leaving only wreckage and an unlikely path, an entrance to a city hidden beneath the waters. What should have been a paradise for human freedom became a dark place, where ambition spiraled out of control and turned everything into chaos. Each corridor reveals more about this tragedy, showing how an entire civilization collapsed from within. The way to survive here is unconventional. Beyond weapons, the body can be modified in absurd ways, allowing you to manipulate elements and create completely unique strategies. What really grips you is how the story unfolds. Nothing is handed to you, and with each new clue found, the city reveals more of its secrets and the ones responsible for the disaster. It's that kind of game that messes with your mind and leaves a lasting impression even after you've finished it. In second place, we have a brutal journey through the 9 circles of hell. Dante's Inferno was one of many attempts of the time to replicate the success of God of War, and the similarities in gameplay are impossible to ignore. The fast strikes, devastating combos, and even the way enemies are finished off follow the same style. But far from being a generic copy, it finds its own space with a disturbing atmosphere and a narrative that dives headfirst into heavy and visceral themes. Each scenario translates the horror of the underworld in a grotesque and impactful way, creating locations that seem to come straight from a nightmare. The creatures, inspired by human sins, are bizarre and often uncomfortable to look at. The descent into the underworld is felt with every new level, with environments becoming more intense and claustrophobic as the journey progresses. The feeling of being trapped in a cycle of punishment and pain makes the progress even more immersive. The story also stands out, bringing a protagonist who must face not only monsters but the consequences of his own actions. The way the plot unfolds adds extra weight to the journey, making each new area not just a physical challenge, but an emotional one as well. Even with gameplay so similar to other titles in the genre, it manages to stand out by delivering something visually shocking and thematically impactful, securing its place among the most memorable games of the era. In third place, we have a world on the brink of collapse, consumed by chaos and divided by endless wars. Dragon Age Inquisition places you at the center of this devastated scenario as an unexpected leader, someone who must unite rival factions, face colossal threats, and decide the fate of a land on the edge of destruction. Nothing here is simple. Every choice alters the course of events, affecting alliances, territories, and even the way the war unfolds. The combat offers total freedom to approach encounters however you see fit. You can charge in with direct attacks or take a more strategic position, pausing everything to plan each move. The difference lies in the impact of the decisions. Every conversation, every mission accepted or rejected can have unexpected consequences, turning allies into enemies and completely changing the course of the plot. The world is not just a backdrop, but a living organism that reacts to every step. No journey will be the same, and the twists ensure that until the very last moment, nothing is set in stone. In fourth place, we have a journey marked by sacrifice, unbreakable bonds, and moments that leave scars. The Last of Us is not just a survival story, but a testament to what it means to fight for someone in a world where almost nothing else matters. Amid ruins and constant danger, two strangers are forced to cross the country together, facing not only physical threats, but also choices that test the very limits of morality. The gameplay reinforces this tension constantly. The combat is brutal, with hard-hitting and desperate blows that make it clear that there are no heroes here, only people trying to survive. And it's not just against enemies that the mechanics shine. Exploring abandoned areas reveals small fragments of lost stories, adding even more depth to this ruined world. The graphics raise the bar for what was expected at the time. Detailed facial expressions make each moment of pain or relief feel even more real, while the environments tell stories on their own. From cities in ruins covered by vegetation to interiors full of marks from lives that no longer exist, every detail reinforces the immersion, making it impossible to leave this journey without carrying a piece of it with you. In the fifth position, we have a game that redefined the concept of open world and marked the industry forever. GTA 5 not only raised the level of freedom within a game, but also became a massive financial phenomenon. What started as just another story of crime and ambition quickly turned into a living universe, where every street, every conversation, and every detail contributes to the sensation of being truly immersed in a world that never stops. The big breakthrough here was creating an environment that reacts dynamically to the player. It's not just about completing missions. The game invites you to explore every corner, whether by betting on illegal races, planning cinematic heists, or simply causing chaos for fun. The switch between three protagonists brought new possibilities, allowing each part of the story to be seen from a different perspective. And even after finishing the campaign, there's always something new to do, whether by exploring the map or testing the countless emergent systems that make everything feel unpredictable. The impact was so great that its online mode transformed the game into one of the most profitable in history. With constant events, heists to be planned as a team, and an endless flow of new content, the online experience has never stopped growing. Year after year, the world remains alive, proving that few games have maintained such relevance for so long. It's more than just a game. It's a phenomenon that has transcended generations and continues to surprise. In sixth place, we have the return to a nightmare that should never have started again. Dead Space 2 plunges even deeper into psychological horror and the brutality of survival in space. After waking up in an unknown location with no memory of recent events, the protagonist finds himself surrounded by indescribable horrors. The environment, once safe and functional, is now overrun with grotesque creatures that not only kill, but transform their victims into something even worse. The sense of vulnerability is constant. The confrontations are brutal, requiring precision to prevent the creatures from advancing. The silence of the corridors, broken only by distant noises and shadows moving out of view, makes every step feel extremely cautious. The environment remains one of the standout features. Every area seems to have been the scene of something terrible, with signs of destruction and messages left by those who unsuccessfully tried to escape the worst. The suffocating atmosphere and the tension-filled soundtrack turn every small advancement into an achievement. There is no relief, no moments of peace, only the certainty that the next scare might be the last. In seventh place, we have a game that expanded on all the ideas of its predecessor and redefined what it means to wear the mantle of a vigilante. Batman Arkham City took the solid foundation of the previous game and elevated everything to a new level, offering total freedom to explore an environment 5 times larger and full of possibilities. The location, once restricted to corridors and closed rooms, is now a true hunting ground, where enemies roam the streets, alleys, and rooftops, always waiting for the next confrontation. The combat remains one of the game's greatest strengths. The fluidity of the strikes, the precise response to each command, and how everything connects make each fight feel like a brutal and perfectly synchronized choreography. The attacks fit naturally, allowing you to face entire groups without losing control of the situation. The counterattack system and gadgets add even more depth, turning every encounter into a spectacle of skill and strategy. The sensation of patrolling such a lively and unpredictable environment makes everything even more immersive. Criminals react to the presence of the vigilante, talk about events happening around them, and set up ambushes to try to catch them off guard. Every corner hides a new danger or an opportunity to surprise enemies silently. It's not just about fighting. It's about using fear as a weapon, making it clear that in the darkness, they're never truly safe. This is by far my favorite superhero game. In 8th place, we have a bold reinterpretation of one of the most iconic franchises in gaming. Castlevania Lords of Shadow, surprised by leaving behind the classic 2D style and adopting a cinematic approach. At the time, its grand setting and dark narrative caught attention, plunging into a world devastated by evil forces. Amid detailed environments and nightmare creatures, the journey sought a relic capable of restoring order and challenging the very limits between life and death. The combat was swift and brutal, allowing players to face hordes of enemies with fluid attack sequences and special abilities. The confrontations required mastery of the mechanics, alternating between quick strikes, precise dodges, and impactful finishers. The highlight was the battles against colossal creatures, where strategy and reflexes were essential to climb, dodge, and strike at the right moment. Each victory brought that sense of overcoming, making the duels even more memorable. The environment impressed with its rich details. From cursed forests to imposing castles, each setting reinforced the dark tone of the journey, creating an atmosphere that kept you hooked from start to finish. The grand soundtrack complemented this immersion, making everything feel even more epic. For its time, it was an immersive cinematic experience that renewed the franchise without losing its essence. In 9th place, we have one of the most impressive titles of its time, bringing intense action and grand battles. God of War 3 closed the trilogy with a visual spectacle and breathtaking sequences. From the first minutes, the game plunged into a colossal war, where each battle seemed to surpass the previous one in scale and brutality. The confrontations against gigantic enemies and the visceral way the blows were delivered turned every fight into a true show of destruction. The gameplay stood out for its fluidity and aggressiveness, allowing devastating attacks that chained together without interruption. Every strike had impact, and the battles required quick reflexes to face threats ranging from furious warriors to colossal creatures that filled the entire screen. The sense of power was constant, reinforced by the fast pace and the design of the arenas, which encouraged both offensive and precise movement. Everything felt grand. The colossal settings, cinematic lighting, and absurd level of detail made each environment visually stunning. Nothing stayed static. The world around you crumbled, shook, and reacted to the chaos. The epic scale of events made every new battle feel bigger than the last, leading to an explosive and memorable conclusion, worthy of an apocalyptic finale. In the 10th position, we have an adventure that redefined immersion and freedom in open-world RPGs. Skyrim placed an entire continent at your disposal, where every mountain on the horizon could be reached, and every cave hid secrets waiting to be discovered. Unlike many games in the genre, it didn't guide the path. The choices you made determined the direction of your journey, from alliances with influential factions to decisions that directly impacted the balance of the world. The gameplay offered multiple ways to tackle challenges, Wielding heavy weapons, casting destructive spells, or acting in the shadows were just some of the possibilities in a combat system that adapted to your preferred style. Progression was completely open, allowing any skill to be enhanced without restrictions, creating unique characters with every new playthrough. Exploring the map wasn't just a detail, but an essential part of the adventure, rewarding those who ventured off the main path. Nothing here felt small. Each city had its own culture and internal conflicts. Every ruin carried traces of a lost civilization, and colossal creatures would appear without warning, turning any peaceful walk into an epic battle. The soundtrack reinforced the grandeur of the journey, making moments of discovery and combat even more memorable. Even years after its release, this open world continued to surprise, securing its place among the greatest RPGs ever created. In the 11th position, we have a cinematic adventure filled with action and unforgettable moments. Uncharted 3 raised the bar for spectacular sequences, taking you to scenarios that looked like they came straight out of a big-budget film. From high-speed chases to battles amidst collapsing structures, everything was designed to keep the adrenaline at its peak while a plot full of mysteries unfolded. The combat system combined intense gunfights with well-choreographed hand-to-hand battles, creating dynamic confrontations where each situation required a different approach. Scaling ancient ruins, solving puzzles, and navigating hostile environments were all part of the journey. The level design was crafted to encourage exploration, offering varied locations ranging from scorching deserts to cities forgotten by time. The impact didn't come just from the explosive moments, but also from the pauses between them, where dialogue and twists kept the interest high. In the 12th position, we have a game that established one of the most successful formulas in the genre. Far Cry 3 delivered a chaotic open world where every decision directly impacted survival. The story, which started as a simple rescue mission, quickly turned into a disturbing journey where the line between hero and villain became increasingly blurred. The big difference was in the freedom. There was no single way to face the challenges. It was possible to attack head-on, act stealthily, or even use the environment as a weapon. Character progression and skill customization brought even more depth, allowing each player to shape their combat style. Exploration was always rewarding, with secrets scattered across the map and activities ranging from hunting to territorial battles. After this release, the series followed this structure as a base, keeping the open world full of activities, charismatic villains, and the freedom to approach things as central elements. Each new title brought small changes and refinements, but the essence remained the same. The impact was so big that even today, many games adopt this format, proving how influential this formula continues to be within the genre. In the 13th position, we have a game that took first-person puzzles to a whole new level. Portal 2 expanded everything the first game introduced, bringing more complex challenges, innovative mechanics, and a narrative that brilliantly mixed humor and tension. Returning to the abandoned laboratories wasn't just a new series of tests, but a journey full of twists and unforgettable moments. The big breakthrough was in how the puzzles evolved. New elements like gel with different physical properties, light bridges, and transport beams required increasingly creative solutions. It wasn't just a logic game, but a puzzle built within an engaging story. The cooperative mode added a new layer of complexity, forcing two players to think synchronously to solve challenges that couldn't be completed alone. Solving these puzzles together was just as satisfying as completing them solo, and the need for communication made each solution even more rewarding. This balance between narrative, intelligent design, and creative mechanics made this sequel not only surpass its predecessor, but also cement its place as one of the most innovative games in the genre. In the 14th position, we have one of those games that flew under the radar for many, but impressed with its originality and unusual premise. Tokyo Jungle replaced conventional heroes and grand battles with a completely different premise: animal survival in a world where humans disappeared. where predators and prey fought daily to ensure their own survival. Every choice made a difference. The need to find food, shelter, and avoid larger threats made each minute unpredictable. Balancing hunting and not becoming prey required constant attention, turning even the smallest encounters into intense challenges. The progression allowed you to unlock new species, each with unique characteristics, bringing variety and new strategies to face the hostile environment. Small details in the environment told stories about what happened to civilization, while the struggle for survival became increasingly brutal. The idea may seem unusual at first, but few games have managed to create something so different and at the same time, so addictive. In the 15th position, we have a title that expanded the possibilities within the action genre and introduced choices that really impacted the journey. Infamous 2 didn't just offer impressive powers. Every decision shaped the path you took, influencing the protagonist's fate and those around him. The city thrived with the player's presence, reacting to his actions and making every choice something more than just a narrative detail. The combat was intense and full of possibilities. Mastering electrical abilities allowed you to approach confrontations in various ways, combining direct attacks, agile mobility, and large-scale destruction. The environment wasn't just a backdrop, but an essential part of the gameplay, offering structures to climb, strategic points for attacks, and dangers that could be used to your advantage or against you. Every corner of the world was filled with missions and activities, reinforcing the feeling that the city was alive and always presenting something new. The impact of actions didn't just change how the story unfolded, but also how the inhabitants reacted. This fusion of dynamic combat, branching narrative, and vertical exploration created an engaging experience, proving that being superpowered went far beyond just fighting enemies. In the 16th position, we have a game that brought an intense and cinematic approach to the open-world genre. Sleeping Dogs combined police action with a vibrant setting, placing the player in the heart of an undercover operation within one of the world's most dangerous criminal organizations. The duality between duty and loyalty is what made the story so engaging, forcing tough decisions and situations where any slip-up could be fatal. The combat was one of the standout features, focusing on well-choreographed hand-to-hand fights that felt like martial arts movies. Dodges, counterattacks, and brutal finishers added a frenetic pace to the confrontations, making each fight visually impressive. Thrilling chases and intense shootouts brought even more variety, ensuring that the action never became repetitive. The city provided a rare immersion for its time. Neon-lit streets, crowded markets, and hidden alleys brought the environment to life, creating a contrast between the urban beauty and the brutality of the criminal underworld. Between missions, there was always something to do: illegal races, underground gambling, and even relaxing moments like karaoke. This blend of dense narrative, impactful combat, and a world full of possibilities made this title stand out among so many others of the time. In the 17th position, we have a game that expanded its franchise by introducing new perspectives and deepening its narrative. Yakuza 4 brought not only an engaging story, but also a fresh approach by allowing different protagonists to share the spotlight. Each carried their own journey, and as the events intertwined, the plot became even more intense and unpredictable. Combat was one of the highlights, with varied fighting styles tailored to each character. Brutal sequences of strikes, cinematic finishers, and the ability to use the environment for attacks created dynamic and exciting battles. Every confrontation had narrative weight, reinforcing the impact of the events and making the action more than just a gameplay element. It was an extension of the story itself. The setting presented a vibrant depiction of the city, where busy streets hid secrets and side activities that went far beyond the main plot. From underground fights to more laid-back moments, there was always something unexpected to discover. The way the story unfolded, combined with memorable characters and a refined combat system, made this title one of the most unforgettable in the series. In the 18th position, we have a game that brought a unique perspective on one of the most explored periods in gaming. The Saboteur adopted a cinematic style to portray the Nazi occupation of Paris, placing the player in the role of an undercover agent who used sabotage tactics to weaken the enemy. The city, initially oppressive and hopeless, transformed as the resistance gained strength, making the fight not just physical but symbolic. The gameplay mixed action and stealth, allowing direct attacks on strategic targets or silent infiltration to destabilize the enemy forces. Blowing up bridges, disabling communications, and eliminating important targets not only weakened the enemy, but also encouraged the citizens to rebel. The environment itself reflected this progress. Areas that were once dark and lifeless regained color, symbolizing the recovery of hope amidst the chaos. The open world recreated the city in a vibrant way, allowing you to scale iconic buildings, traverse narrow alleys, and use various vehicles to navigate the landscape. Side missions, interactions with the resistance, and moments of pure adrenaline made every action impactful. Few games have managed to capture this historical period so stylishly, making this adventure one of the most memorable in the genre. In the 19th position, we have a game that blended two iconic themes and delivered one of the most memorable experiences in the series. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag combined the freedom of the seas with the stealthy style characteristic of the franchise, creating a vast open world full of possibilities. Sailing between tropical islands, exploring bustling cities, and diving in search of treasure turned every new journey into an unpredictable adventure. The naval combat system was one of the main highlights, turning ship battles into something dynamic and strategic. Upgrading your own ship, recruiting crew members, and facing enemy vessels required planning and skill, ensuring that every sea confrontation was as thrilling as the land missions. On land, the game maintained fluid combat and well-adjusted stealth mechanics, allowing for varied approaches to each situation. The setting was a spectacle in itself. Between secret hideouts and imposing fortresses, every location felt alive, reinforcing the feeling of truly being part of the golden age of piracy. The mix of freedom to explore and a plot full of intrigue made this title one of the most remarkable experiences in the franchise, proving that a well-executed change of setting could completely revitalize an already established series. In the 20th position, we have a game that brought a dense, tension-filled narrative where every choice could mean the difference between life and death. Heavy Rain took a fragmented structure, allowing players to follow the story through 4 distinct perspectives, each offering a unique view of the hunt for a mysterious killer. As the pieces of the puzzle fit together, the fate of each character became uncertain, making the journey unpredictable from start to finish. Each protagonist had their own role in the investigation. A father devastated by guilt faced brutal challenges to save his son, while a determined journalist plunged deeper into the dangers of the story. At the same time, a veteran detective used his experience to follow crucial clues, and an FBI agent relied on technology to analyze evidence and get closer to the truth. Their paths crossed intensely, and every decision could drastically change the course of events. The way the plot unfolded made it impossible to predict what would happen next. Small details, dialogues, and action shaped not only the outcome of the story, but also the relationships between characters and their chances of survival. The tension grew with each scene, and the incessant rain added emotional weight to the search for answers. In the end, there were no guarantees, only consequences. And tell me, which of these games have you had the chance to play? We'd love to know which ones you've experienced. Share in the comments any game that could have easily been included on the list, but was left out. This generation was full of insane games, and one list is hardly enough to cover them all. If you can, please subscribe to the channel to help me grow and never be uncertain about what to play again. I'm leaving 2 videos on the card, one that I selected for you and another that YouTube chose. Just click on either to watch. Big hug, happy gaming, and see you tomorrow.